Why, hello. Welcome to Convos for A Bubbly Life. I'm your host, Tiara, aka T, and I love to live a life that is bubbly, meaning an extraordinary life by your own design. On this podcast, we explore the journey of creating the life of your desires. So let's get to it. Today, we're going to discuss our plan to take down the patriarchy. Just kidding. That sounds too like a lot of work that I have zero desire to participate in. While I think that like the work that I do in some ways, shapes, and forms can be taking down society as we know it, it is not in a direct and I guess, aggressive way. It is more in the soft, as I've spoken before. I am here for the soft life. It is in changing the behavior of both myself and those within my community, the mindset of those within my community to a place where we take ownership and we take control of our life within this space that we live, right? And saying that if that does not resonate with you, if it doesn't make sense, I can say it in a different way. And not that you have to have the same ideals as I do, but the idea, or I guess I want to better clarify, the idea and my intention is that I want everyone to have access to living out the extraordinary, however that looks like to them. So I feel like I haven't really gone deep into what is a bubbly life in a while. So this is kind of a reintroduction of what are we here for, right? And so a bubbly life, as I say in the beginning, is an extraordinary life, right? An extraordinary life. So what is extraordinary? First, to break it down, I truly believe that extraordinary is different for everyone, and there is extraordinary in the everyday. I feel like growing up, I often had, someone say something like, tell me something good. And I used to think that by saying, tell me something good, or it had to be like, I had to come up with something that was like earth shattering that happened to me. Right. And the something good could be like, I woke up today, it happens every day, hopefully, but like, that's extraordinary. Not everybody woke up today, that is extraordinary because we are living. And the other word in a bubbly life is life, right? And so it's about life. Life is living, this breathing and constant flow of energy until in this physical form, until it is no more, right? So living an extraordinary life is cultivating the extraordinary, witnessing the extraordinary in our lives every single day, finding peace and joy and excitement for living, for simply being. And in doing so, creating a life experience for ourselves that feels decadent, luxurious, extraordinary, fun, fulfilling, happy, joyful, abundant. All these phenomenal words. Cultivating that for ourselves, within ourselves. And so first we have to bring awareness to what are these things within our life that relate back to all of these words. Going back to I'm just going to use extraordinary because, right? What is extraordinary to you? And what is extraordinary to you doesn't have to be extraordinary to me, and vice versa, you know? While I do love like luxurious, bougie, phenomenal things, maybe it's like, oh, I went on like a champagne tasting on the river or something crazy. Not crazy, but like something that seems just unattainable. Ooh, I think that's a good way to describe it. Like, I think that growing up, I was constantly trying to compete or meet an expectation that was of a out of the ordinary, extraordinary, something that was above and beyond, that was something to put on a pedestal, something that was above the average. Like, while I know I resonate, like I am not average. And I think that everyone can not be average, which is a very interesting like concept. But I constantly wanted to rise above, not because like I felt like I was better than anybody else, but I felt like I had to. And in that, we can go into the whole unpack the like being a woman and being Black and like, the rhetoric of like, I'm going to have to work like 18 times, if not more, harder than, a white male presenting person because of all of those things, to achieve the same thing that they do with minimal effort. And that is not the purpose of this conversation today. So today it's really about what is the programming, right? It is what is a bubbly life, and a bubbly life is an extraordinary life. But first we have to look at our own programming, for a lack of a better word. A great friend, coach, and mentor of mine often talked about our programming as a person, looking at ourselves kind of like a computer. Like our minds are this big switchboard, if you will. And we have the opportunity through our choices and our decisions and our belief structure to shift and change that programming. So what does our programming say about us? What does our programming say about what life looks like, or quote unquote should look like? Oh, that should word. I had a conversation with someone the other day and they were like, well, you should be da 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 da. And I just let them talk, right? I was like, to acknowledge that like I heard them, but I chose not. I was like, I don't even know how to respond to this. And it reminded me of a conversation I was having with somebody else that was talking about the expectations of others. And I was like, I feel like that's like so dumb, these expectations, but it has become a societal norm. And so because it's a societal norm, we have normalized it, we have integrated it into our system as truth, and therefore we make it our own truth. And so when we talk about the programming, it's like, all right, well, I have this opportunity to choose to say, you know what, like, while the masses or my family or people that I have trusted over my life participate in this experience, I no longer need to take part in it. It's not something I really want to do. And it can be as like changing as like, maybe it's a religious belief. Maybe it's like, a career path. Maybe your entire family, is like, I don't know, clowns. I was going to go with the like doctor analogy, but I feel like I do it all the time. I wanted to come up with something a little bit more fun, but like, yeah, maybe your family has been a part of the traveling circus, for, I don't know, since Barnum and Bailey. I don't know. I feel like that's a long time ago, right? Like, isn't that like the early 1900s, 1800s? But, for a century, if not longer. It's like, it's a generational thing. Your grandpa and grandma had a cute little like duet, I don't know, tightrope act. And and your grandfather before them was like the ringmaster, and it's like perpetuating over and over and over again. So every person that's born into this family has somehow like added to the experience, and you come along and you're like, I mean, this is cool and all, and this is fun and this is different. And, it's an opportunity to see the world, maybe if you're a traveling circus, and it's an opportunity to meet new people and new cultures. But as you're going around and, through your childhood, you're meeting new people and you're seeing these different cultures, and you recognize that maybe some of these people, because they are staying in one place, they have an opportunity to build community. Not that you don't have community within your family circus people, but it's a different vibration. It's different. And, there's something to be said about staying in one place and being able to, go to school and in person and not be homeschooled, and being introduced to people of different walks of life on a deeper level, because you're not spending only like a week in one spot. You're spending years developing a relationship with different people in the same area. I don't know. There's like something that's alluring to you in not being a part of the circus anymore. So then when you bring it up to your family, you're like, you know what? I don't want to be a clown. I think I want to go to medical school, or I think I want to be a social worker, or I don't know, you talk to somebody at a circus after hours or something. They come up and they're like, oh, you're so great. I love the, dog that you made out of the balloons. And that was really cool. How do you do that? And you showed them, and then you just had a great conversation and you chatted with them, and they're like, oh, I am a lawyer or an activist or whatever they are. And you're like, that sounds really cool. And it's introduced to you, and it brings awareness to you that there is a different way to live than what you've gotten used to. And that way feels better. It resonates more for you. And it might be scary to go against the grain, if you will, go against what you've always known, go against the expectation that you might have held for both yourself and the expectation that your family might have held for you. And that is part of the exploration that we do in A Bubbly Life, is finding ourselves, finding what resonates. And sometimes we don't even know that we're on this path until something just shows up for us. Going back to the circus analogy, you're having fun, you're doing whatever. I feel like in the movies, they make it like the kid is always like doing something, and they're like, it starts off with like, I'm Sam. It's like, you might wonder how I've got here or whatever. I don't know. Like, it's like some teenage angsty thing. And that's usually like the intro of like, they're like doing some sort of activity, and you're like, they introduce themselves, like breaking the fourth wall. And, you might be wondering, or you might think that like living this life is really cool, but I hate it. Right. And they already have this like rebellious, visceral reaction to their life within them. But sometimes it's just like they got a glimpse of something that they didn't know, and it like flips a switch. Hold on a second. I'm taking a sip. Like, there's like an episode of How I Met Your Mother, and it's like in the episode, people point out traits of other people in the friend group that somebody didn't realize. And then there's all this like glass shattering sound effect that goes off as like, they're like, oh my gosh, like so-and-so chews really loudly. And they were like, what? The love of my life doesn't chew that loudly. And then like they start chewing. You're like, oh my God, it's so loud. And like the glass shatters and it's brought to their awareness. And now they can't unsee it. They can't undo it. It's taking whichever color pill from, the Matrix. I don't remember which one's which. But it's like that same idea of like, you didn't know what you didn't know. And now you know, and you can't go back. And what are we going to do with this information? What are we going to do with this opportunity for change, this opportunity for growth, this opportunity to experience something that we may or may not have ever even dreamed of for ourselves? And A Bubbly Life is about recognizing that you have that opportunity, recognizing that you have the power of choice, you have the power to create the life that you want for yourself when you choose. It's pretty much that simple, you know. You choose to be happy, you choose to be loved, you choose to recognize these opportunities. I think the mind is such a powerful thing. We can choose to be bitter, right? We can choose to be like, you know what, I'll insert whichever gender identity, insert whatever you're looking for in a partner, person, right? And you can choose to say that all men, women, non-binary are whatever. And because you've made that choice, your mind is ready to give you the examples of what it is that you choose. So they're all players. Well, then your mind is like, let's look for the players, honey. Let's go for it. Let's do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Like I talked about the other day with, I made a post about doing my hair, and I am like just shooketh, y'all. I cannot. The fact that the last time I did this style, it literally took me 14 hours, and I was so exhausted and so just frustrated and was just like, I will never do this again. Like my goal, I remember being like, my goal in life is now to be able to afford to like, I don't care if it's $1,000. My goal in life is to just be able to afford to have somebody else do that for me. And that was like my thought. And then I don't know, on the whim that I did it myself, and it took 5 hours. And I think the distraction probably added to the amount of time it took, in the sense that I like threw up like my iPad in the bathroom and had like a TV show going on. So I might have been way too like paying attention to the TV show rather. And this time around I did an audiobook. So like I didn't have to like visually be integrated in the situation. Like it only took my ears, and I don't really need my ears to braid. So it didn't take all of my focus away. So there might have been that might have been a part of what helped the situation. But overall, the fact that I had I don't know if I can do this mentality versus I got this and we're going to get it done mentality changed the game. Totally changed the game. It changed the entire experience. Like I said, I did pretty much the same thing. I slightly changed the technique But overall, it was very similar process. And one just had trust in myself and the other one didn't. And when we lean into trust, it helps us to push away the worry, the anxiety, the fear of failure. How do we combat fear of failure? We trust. Trust that it's all going to work out. Like, I don't know how it's going to work out. Maybe I don't trust that it's going to be the best experience of my entire life, but like, I trust that it's going to look fine. It's going to be good. I trust that I know enough about what I'm doing that it's going to work out in a positive way. And how positive, how extraordinary is it going to be? I might not know exactly how that is, but I get to be my own self-fulfilling prophecy. Be your own prophecy. Trust in the journey. Going back to the all men, women, non-binary, people are assholes in the dating world. Going back to that one, like, when we talk like that, are we, one, trusting in humanity? Are we trusting in our ability to attract what we desire? We are programming ourselves. Our words are worlds, friends. It's a quote that I learned a few years ago at a party. And this lady just said, words are worlds. And then she proceeded to give a prophecy for a friend of mine that totally came true. Like straight up, she was like, you're going to get pregnant and you're going to have a girl. And we were like, okay. And like within the year, pregnant and had a girl. Wild. It was great. But like such a profound moment. Words are worlds. You create your world with your words. So we create our programming with our words. And as we speak, when we speak with uncertainty, we create the space within ourselves to witness what we don't want. When we create the trust, when we speak with the directness, there's like, I'm like seeing in my like mind's eye, uncertainty is this like wavy kind of line, this like wiggly, unstable line. So then we go through life like, I don't know if I can ever find love. I don't know if I can ever do this. I don't know if I have the capacity for what it is that I desire. So we are on this like wiggly journey of like unknowing and maybe getting a taste of what it is that we desire to like lean us one way or another. But overall, like just like not really getting there. But when we have the trust, that creates a straighter, more defined line that as we're going, like, I'm like seeing like, okay, we're like on this wavy street of like wildness, and there's like psychedelic trips, like, and like, I don't know, something out of Alice in Wonderland on one road. And then like the other road is just like flat and straight. There might be flowers that you can pick on the sides of it, but like, it's like, I don't know, North by Northwest. Okay. Cary Grant. Okay. Okay. Someone might have studied film at one point in time in their life, but like they're standing at this crossroad and it's like, all right, am I going to go definitively straight? Am I going to go definitively right or left? Whatever. Either way, I can see clearly in front of me where I'm going to go and what's going to happen. And I trust that everything is going to be okay. And I'm making my way downtown, walking fast. Faces pass and you're homebound. Like insert piano riff, right? There's nothing wrong with either way. But when we think about our journey, when we think about what we want to experience, when we take the uncertainty out and lean into trust, the uncertainty is in alignment with fear in my mind. The uncertainty, while fear helps to keep us safe on some level. But do we really need to be all that safe is the question that I often ask myself. I often say well, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then it's okay, that's awful. And but I always find myself going back to, okay, well, I trust I can handle that. If that were to happen, whatever, I'm going to be okay. All right, cool. That's the word, at the end of the day, I guess I could move back in with my parents or something. There's always okay, the result of that can end up with something that I don't really want to do, but I'll be fine. I'm good. I got this. There's nothing that's going to make me not keep on living besides actual death. So we're good. We're fine. It might be uncomfortable for a while, but we'll get through it. And by we, me, myself, I, the royal we, as I am royalty, and all works out. Everything is always working out for me, is a mantra of mine. And I invite you to adopt it as well. So when we come back to that, because it helps to continue to solidify that trust in ourselves and our journey, everything's always working out for me, then you can it creates space to let the bullshit roll off of our backs. Because a bubbly life is not a life that is devoid of uncomfortable situations and pain and struggle. No, not at all. But a bubbly life is a life that creates space and strength and power in ourselves to handle any situation that comes at us and to find the extraordinary in our day-to-day life. So with that, if you're not already a part of the membership, I invite you to join the A Bubbly Life membership, where you can get support and community around living your version of an extraordinary life. And I will catch you on the next one. Reminder, I just realized, I didn't say where you can find A Bubbly Life, which is you can go to www.abubbly.life/luxury living and check out everything that you need. If this podcast resonated with you, I invite you to share it out with your friends or anyone else that you would think that could utilize this message. And with that, I will catch you on the next one. I love you so much. Ta-ta for now.